welcome to FACEHAMMER. It's me, Russ the Face Feel, and in this show, I'm going to be talking about my first Warhammer the Old World tournament, my experience, how I got on, what list I took. It was 1,500 points at Warhammer World. I'm going to show you some photos from my games, talk about what decisions I made or key moments, talk about my list and what I would change. I'll be looking at some of the rules that came out of the event that I wasn't clear on, or that have been clarified with the FAQ, and things that I thought I learned, which were really cool, that it will impact my decisions going forward and what I do, and just generally talk about my experience. And yeah, that's what this show is going to be about. But before I get into that, I just wanted to start off and say a little bit of an apology for the lack of content over the last couple weeks, probably month, actually, a month and a half, something like that. I had some issues just with time. I mean, my work's been crazy. I've had some issues at home. Nothing serious, just, life gets in the way. Also, I've had some health issues. I'm nothing serious. I've got to go to the hospital in a couple of weeks to be looked at for some bits and bobs. Again, it's not serious. It's just to do with my nose and my breathing and stuff. And to be honest, I had some comments on videos about how I sounded and like how I was breathing or how I was kind of, on the video, and it kind of annoyed me a little bit because I have got an issue there, and I'm trying not to. I try to mitigate it as much as I can, but I didn't really appreciate that. To be honest, it put me off a little bit, and I was a little bit burnt out, and it was easy to then go do something else. So I've been working and spending my time when I've got some free moments just diving into some computer games and things like that. So apologies. I could have put some content out sooner, but also I wanted to get the tournament out the way and under my belt and get some game experience, because I like to talk about stuff in a nuanced way with some authority. And I think if I haven't really played enough games, that's hard to do in an authentic way. And I don't want to record a video talking about, like, say, for examples, the Orcs Arcane Journal without really playing Orcs or the game much at all, and then say things, and then I'm look at the rules and they A, don't work like that, or B, there's stuff I missed because I haven't played enough competitive games. So I feel like now I've done a tournament, I've had a couple more games, I feel a little bit more able to discuss things and give insights to you guys that are listening to this, and it's more valuable for you. It makes the video more worthwhile for me to record it. And also, it just helps. I've got a lot of Warhammer Fantasy Battle experience that doesn't necessarily translate to Old World experience. And because of my limited time and what I could play, I felt like I was getting left behind a little bit. I don't do a lot of this whole internet, what's the meta, what's the best list stuff. It's not really my thing. I like to find my own way, look at the rules, play games, and try and find my own little nuance. And I've got that bedrock of fantasy to lean back on, all those years of gaming, like 20 plus years. So anyway, there's the reasons. Take from it what you will. Hopefully you're not that annoyed with me for not recording. I do apologize. I will try and get more content out more regular. It was a longer gap than I wanted to take, in all honesty, but hey ho, we are where we are. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and we'll go through it. Now, before I get into it again, I will say that I am going to a few more events. I've got an event next week at Warhammer World. It's 1250. I'm going to take the dragon. I'm going to be that guy. And I've got 2000 events. One is an independent, and that's run by UG Hobbies. It's Paul Marshall, Say, and Wayne Kemp. And that's at the same venue that the South Coast GT ran, that I ran with Dan and Wayne, which is Horndean Technology College in Waterlooville, which is near Portsmouth, basically. If you want to go, I'll put a link in the description for tickets. They have still got spaces. I'll be there. It's 2,000 points. It's going to be amazing. It's 10th, 11th of August. There's also an event at Warhammer World at the end of August that I'm going with Dean and Carl, my two local Bretonian player opponents. Hopefully they'll start playing different armies, but we'll see. And then I'll be going to that and seeing how I get on. And I'm thinking about trying to paint my Tomb King army for then. My only issue with it is that Tomb King seem quite popular and quite strong, and that kind of puts me off, but I should have played them because I played them all the way through 6th. 250 games plus 1 year, and I should just double down and do it. So I shouldn't care about that, and I probably don't. I'm taking a dragon after all. Come on. So let's go. But anyway, let's get into the video. Hopefully you enjoy it, and we'll start off. I'll talk through my list. So for my list, I took a Chaos Lord with flail, full plate, shield, Mark Nurgle, he's my general. So a Chaos Dragon with the Crown of Everlasting Conquest, which is for the regen, and the Enchanting Aura, which means you strike last. So he's generally just an absolute beast, doesn't really die. You know, it's got Swift Strides, large target, you've got an 18-inch bubble with leadership. I would like to have Favor of the Gods on him. I just do not have the space to put it on him without messing some other things around. Can't take anything out my core. My special units don't really have any upgrades other than things I think are essential. So I didn't really have the capacity to give him a 5-point item, which sounds stupid, without changing something else. And I didn't really want to. Some people commented on the flail. I like the flail because you're getting -2 AP all the time. And it's just a strength bonus that you're only getting the first round. Also, if you need to go magical attacks, he's got ensorcelled weapons, and you can use his hand weapon. So you can just go, I'll use my hand weapon. So I think it's kind of a best of both, a little bit more versatile. So yeah, I like that a lot. And you don't lose your initiative bonus by switching out to the flail. So it's all good. And I've got my Exalted Sorcerer, who is actually pretty MVP. He's got the marker Zinch. He's level 2. He's got the spell familiar for an extra spell, and he's on Demology. Really, I really like Blue Fire. I think after playing, maybe I would swap out the spell familiar with the item makes you pick your spells, and I would take Steed of Shadows every time, pretty much. And then Blue Fire, probably. Some of the other spells are good, they're useful, but those two in particular are just really clutch. The combination of giving them fly, moving into range, and using the magic missile is really strong. Also being able to just move a block of warriors 24 inches into their deployment zone, or down a flank, or like fly over a unit and do a big wheel, is really good. So yeah, I really like Steed. So the other spells are okay, but they're kind of restricted. They're either hexes, or the assailment's good as well when they get stuck in combat. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I would do that. Maybe I wouldn't. It's just, if I didn't roll Steed, I felt like it doesn't really feel as useful, that unit. So I think I'd probably, now I've played some games with it, go, yeah, I need Steed. So I would take Steed and Blue Fire. But still really good. I've got in my, and obviously Marcus Inch is so in the Warriors he gets +1 to cast. He's at +3 to cast, not +2. Also gives the unit magic resistance 1, which can be useful. But generally people aren't really casting at him. You got your core unit. I've got 2 units of 5 Marauder Horse with flails and throwing axes, undivided. Yeah, just solid. I love these. I love the fact they can skirmish now. Really good. And they're just, the throwing axes can be really good. It's just a little bit of chip damage, and especially if there's an infantry unit of like archers or something like that, you can just run around throwing axes into them, and it kind of, one of the games I did that to a high elf archer unit, and by the time they've moved and they're shooting you, they're just not doing enough to, and you're able to chip away. So I like those. They're really useful for doing stuff like screening, line of sight, or conga lining. So if you run away, you bounce through them and they get stuck on them and stuff like that. So they're just versatile things that you don't really use them aggressively. They're kind of there to just support. So I tend to use them in that support role. Screening things, helping stuff get charges, making stuff flee off the table, because if you put them in a line behind them and they run from combat in good order, they bounce all the way through and straight off the table. So stuff like that. So you can do some shenanigans with the Marauder Horse. 12 Chaos Warriors. these are solid. They've got the war banner, full command, Marker's Inch, so the sorcerer can get his bonus. Obviously, once you've lost 2, you kind of lose it. They're actually surprisingly resilient for how many there are, because I was thinking 12, that's not really enough to be anything useful. They do feel pretty good, a bit of static res. I would like to have a bigger unit, like 18 or something like that. It's just points. At 2,000, I'd probably bump that unit up to be a solid unit, to use up the core allowance, and just to be a one big solid block of point denial. They kind of feel like the softest points in the list, other than Marauder Horse, but they don't really cost much. So yeah, I'm not sure, but they're really good. I really like them. I love Warriors of Chaos. I wish they had 2 attacks still. Feels wrong. They've only got 1. Does feel wrong, like really wrong, and not having full plate and not having a ward, and not, it's just they don't feel 16 points a model or 17 points, whatever they are. They don't feel that worth. But they are cool. I mean, I know Forsaken are probably technically better, but I like my blocks. So I've got some nice painted ones. I wanted to use them. I got 2 Chaos Chariots, no marks, no Swift Stride on these, which is something I was playing wrong in some of the early games. Didn't realise they didn't have Swift Stride. Toughness 5, free up armor is great. Yeah, good on the charge as well. They're also unit strength 5, and they got close order, so it's a little bit of stack res. They can disrupt, so I really like them. They are solid. They're not the best, but because their max threat's like 13 inches for a charge, so they're a bit slow. But it kind of goes in as a second wave once the dragon's been in combat, protracted combat, because it really gets challenged out. They normally just give ground. Or you can use, Marauder Horse screen, do a flee, and try and then counter charge with the chariot and stuff like that. So, and I got 3 Dragon Ogres, which honestly are great. I really like Dragon Ogres. I think they are, you can't really go wrong with them. They're immune to psychology, so that gets rid of a load of issues with like them having to run away and do panics or fears and terror. They've got a ward against magic missiles, which is useful. Their strength 7. They've got stomp attacks, free up armor save. They're just really good. I mean, I can't look past them. Being multi-wound models as well is just awesome. And they're faster than infantry at movement 7. So I mean, they are cavalry technically, but they don't feel like it because they have Swift Stride, which makes sense. I mean, if they had Swift Stride, they would be so amazing. I do still think they're great, and they were very popular. Lots of people had Dragon Ogres, so yeah, I do rate them a lot. So that was my list. So it's pretty self-explanatory. I like my army to look a little bit symmetrical. So I got the 2 basically. I got a block of warriors. I got a block of feisty cavalry, 2 units of skirmishers, 2 chariots, dragon, and a wizard. So it's not nothing crazy. It's not what I would call like a min-max combo build or anything. It's just solid units. And they work together really well. I enjoyed playing with it. Felt like I was playing an army, which is the main thing I look for when I write a list. So I got some snaps from my games. So my first opponent was Ben. It was a really nice start. We had a great giggle at the table. There was a lot of banter. It was playing Brayherds, or Beastmen, I should say, Beasts of Chaos. He had a Gorgon, which was very scary with its killing blow. I was thinking, oh, is he gonna get my dragon? Dragon Ogres, of course. A big block of Bestigor with the slug, the arm with the fingers and might want to hit, the sludge skin, whatever it's called. And he had some stuff in ambush. So the units at the back are actually ambush, which are the center gore, the Minotaurs, and another unit of gore. So I kind of used my Marauder Cavalry to kind of screen where he could come on. I used my, this is the first turn, so my dragons, or second turn, I think, my dragon's gone into the Dragon Ogres, which is a bit risky because you're thinking they're strength 7, there's a lot of attacks coming at you. I did take some damage, but I did manage to kill that unit. I had the chariot ready for a follow-up charge. my warrior block. I had Steed, put the magic missile in here. I had my Dragon Ogres opposite his Gorgon, which I was not very happy about. I didn't really want to charge that, to be honest. And then, you know, so I got like a chariot here looking at the backfield thinking, well, if you're going to come on ambush, I'm going to be ready for you. So if you want to come up behind my blocks, I'm going to have a charge. You did have a unit of Skirmish Youngor that you brought on, which my chariot then killed. I did break my banner off, which is brilliant. I did charge the Marauders into the Centaur, and I did actually end up killing them. I think they went stupid and stumbled into me and then did nothing. The Minotaurs come on behind my block, which I turned around to take the charge. That was a bit risky. You can see my Dragon's into his main unit of his characters in after going through the Dragon Ogres. And I'm sort of, I think I baited the charge because he's frenzied, so I gave him the longest charge and he failed it, and then I back up and then he has to charge me again, and you know he hasn't got anything else in his arc to charge. If knowing he was frenzied, I could have done something with the Marauder Cav, but I didn't really think about it at the time. He brought the other blocks of Gauls on here, which I charioted into. This was looking a bit hairy, to be honest. I think I rolled quite well on my saves, if I remember correctly, so that was quite nice. I did actually end up seeing him off, which was very surprising. He don't think he ejected attacks on my sorcerer, which I would have been doing, so I got away with that one. A lot of people don't do that, so I did put the Marauders behind to try and make him bounce off, but because of the casualty removal, that changed the angle, so then he was then going this way rather than this way. I should have put them more central to bounce them off the table, but, you know, I messed that one up. Hey-ho. My Dragons finished off going through there. You know, we're sort of off-seeing this. I think he killed my Dragon Ogres with the Gorgon, and I set up this counter charge at the end of the game, which was basically everything in before he gets to go. So I just killed him before he got to strike. So that was the end of the game, and I did well. So my Dragon went in, and he's actually in base. I just, because of the heads, it's hard to actually rank him up. Yeah, so took him out and was pretty pleased with that result. So it was a big win for me. Yeah, so quite happy with that. It was just a pitch battle, that mission. Most of the missions are just kill stuff, so I've only got one banner I can give away, which is in my Warriors, which generally don't die in most games. It's just a picture of Dean in this game that he was playing against the Demon Prince Warriors. Looked like he was doing quite well. I think the Demon Prince lived a bit of a charm life, and I think Dean still won, but I think it was a lot closer than it probably should have been. So then I ended up playing Dave McGowan, which or the Chin, as is well known as, and I knew him from the Island team for, you know, Six Nations and things like that. So I knew him, and he had a very nice High Elf army. I was quite excited to play against High Elves. Again, I ended up with Steed of Shadows, which was great. Demonic Vigor and Blue Fire. Demonic Vigor, it's only your turn, so I'm not that sold on it. I still think Steed's probably the best. If you've got an infantry block, it's so good. So a big unit of Sea Guard, big unit of Swordmasters. He had a Bolt Thrower, Flame Spire, an Eagle, his unit of Archers with a Mage in it, and then he had a unit off here scouting off the side here, which were the Shadow Warriors with a hit Noble with the Reaver Bow. So the train blocks line of sight. So the idea, I wanted to try and limit what this could shoot. That's why a lot of my stuff's behind here in setup. As the game goes on, he makes this unit unbreakable. 2 chariots in the front. I just ground the unit off over because he didn't have anything set up to counter. Oh, he had a unit of Dragon Princes as well. But I was like, well, if you're not gonna, I understand if it's like Anvil. You know, I go in, I get stuck, you charge me, you kill me, but nothing was set up to counter. So I was like, oh, I'll just grind you then. You know, my Dragon Ogres, my Dragon went into his Swordmasters and killed them. I killed the Bolt Thrower with the Marauder Cavalry. I got actually the first turn was really cool. My Sorcerer, I turned the unit around, with the Steed, I could do a big wheel. So you could just spin the unit round, and then I just blue fired the guys and they panicked and ran off the table. And I was like, perfect. So see you later. And then blue fire took the whether they're Reavers, whether they're Illyrian Reavers or Dragon Princes, took them down to 2 models, which then they just weren't really effective at that point. These Marauder Cav were just harassing this unit of archers, moving around, checking for an axes. And then the Flame Spire ended up getting charged by Dragon Ogres because I can't remember how it happened, but there was something like it ran away or overran or it tried to pursue, and then it ended up like with them just facing it. So I was like, all right, I can charge you then. Anyway, however it happened, and my dragon came into the grindy fight and finished them off. So again, that was a big win. They've got a painting nomination as well, so his army's very nice. So it's cool to have 2 nicely painted. And the lighting's not very good in Warhammer World. There's a lot of these shadows and that, so it doesn't. The armies, it's hard to photograph to make them look nice. But anyway, yeah, it was great. I mean, I really had a good game. So I think it was a good exposure to high elves, see how they worked and stuff. But I think the dragons are a really good counter to the sword masters. It doesn't really care about them, and it's like, well, you're going to go last because you know, and I'm going to take your models off. So yeah, so he's pretty awesome. The dragons are awesome. Again, that was where the Flame Spire was. I can't remember how he got there. I really can't, but he was there, and then they managed to get a charge in. I think, I can't remember if they fought something and they ran away and they pursued, and then they got a rally, reform from victory, so I span him round and charge. I think that was it. I think he charged the 2 cavalry in, I killed them, and then I could reform, and then he was behind me, but it was my ghost, and I just charged him. Third game is against Elliot and his Beast of Chaos. So he had a Shaman in a chariot with the Hag Tree Fetish, the Ruby Ring, and there's another spell. Basically, it's like all magic missiles on a 360 chariot. Big block. He had a skirmish unit of Ungor, Dragon Ogres again, some Harpies. Now, what's interesting here, this came into that when we were talking about the skirmish and things like that. So the way that this works is because directly towards is your center point. So that's the center on my model, and this guy, that's the center of his model, right? So we draw a line, and this is going to be wobbly because it's freehand, okay? But we draw a line. That's not too bad, actually, between the 2. And then this becomes what he ranks up to. Now, he kind of thought that I would rank to him and I would end up like, let me change the color. So he thought I would end up like this. But actually I end up like this. And he ends up like that. Okay. Which, if you look here, that's his sorcerer. So it kind of puts this overrun situation. Now, it didn't come off because basically he failed his panic test and he ended up running and rallying here because he didn't run very far and he rallied behind the unit. That meant that this block was in the way. So, bit frustrating because I know that if I kill that sorcerer in chariot, he hasn't really got many ways to get points out of me. I mean, I did think about doing that because I know that works because I did it earlier. So I thought, well, that's a good 189 points. You know, that's going to put me up. But if I can kill that model, it's just so important. And actually, ironically, by the end of the game, he was still alive. And he had like 1 wound left. And I even got the dragon into combat with him with my attacks. He ran away. I didn't run him down. It was just a combination of everything. He just survived. He had a charm life. This a bit of a story of my tournament, to be honest. But anyway, so this was what I was talking about with so Dragon Ogre's in the front, Dragon in here. He ends up in the side. He can't fit because the chariot's over here now, wherever it is. It's behind here. There he is. Then the sort of, I put these here to redirect the Dragon Ogres so they can't flank me, although I don't think I had the distance. Warriors are set up behind. He's put Plague of Rust on me, and he's got Earthen Rampart, so I put the chariot in. My chariot was awesome, actually. It did a really good job of holding and doing damage, and yeah, and you can see like his block ran away, he got away, he rallied again. It's just every time he's just trying to catch and catch. He's rallied again, and then it's his sorcerers ended up like all the way over here. So I think that's his, and then that at the end of the game he's there. I can't really see where he is because he's got like 3 chariots, but I think he's there at this point. Yeah, he's there because I charged him with the dragon. He ran away. He bounced through here. I went into this because he rolled like 17 or something stupid. Still fighting the Gorgon with the chariot. At the end of the game, I've got a couple dragon ogres left. I've still got my dragon and things like that, but I just ran away. I was like, well, I'm not going to get that guy because he's just so maneuverable. I can't catch him, and he's just doing loads of damage with magic missiles, so I just ran away so we couldn't get any more points. So I did win that game. Wasn't as big as the other ones, but he's there with his 2 wounds left, which is kind of annoying. You'd think a fully healthy Chaos Lord on Dragon charging it would kill it, but it wasn't to be. He had a 5-up ward, but I still think I should have killed him. But yeah, didn't quite get him. And that was the game. So that was my game 3. So I finished day 1 on 3 wins. I think I was leading the tournament, or I was second, something like that. So then I went into day 2. This was my Tomb King day. Played 2 Tomb King players back to back. Played Scott. I hadn't met Scott before. We had a really good chat, NFL fan, so we were talking about NFL for a bit, giggling all the way through. If you're wondering what the bit of paper is, this mission's to capture the center, and we decided to use a wood. And I thought, well, if we draw around the wood, if at any point, because the trees are meant to be removable, and they're stuck down at Warhammer World, if we're ever moving around this, we need to remove it to see where stuff sits. You can see I set up here where his casket is. I know his casket is a good way of killing my dragon. I've put him behind this impact, this blocks line of sight. I thought, fly over. If I go first, which I ended up did going first, fly over and basically just go max distance forward, everything, and say, what are you going to do? Because he doesn't want to fight me. He's got 1 fighty block, which I can sit outside of range. And then I can basically say, well, you're not going to fight the dragon ogres with archers. You're not going to fight the chariot. My dragon's threatening, they're going to threaten to charge the casket. And I'm thinking, your characters are in the front rank. I think I had a BSB in here. His Necrosphinx gone a bit out of position. I think just the way the deployment worked out, because he's thinking, I come around the side, but I can keep him honest with the wood as well, because that blocks line of sight. So, yeah, that's a clearer picture. But, that was the deployment. So that was my thinking. And this really almost worked out perfectly for me. So this is my turn 1. So I've pushed up in this big line, kept the warriors behind the wood, and outside the charge range of the Necrosphinx. I don't want that. I don't want anything to do with that. This is my quite high unit strength. This is the objective. Figured part of the warriors around it. He's got to come get them. Yeah, and he did have some stuff in the ground, like scorpions and things, but misplayed the rules, because we did have a discussion, and he was adamant it worked this way. So, you can bring units on with it came from below, or the terror beneath the sands, whatever it's called, or entomb beneath the sands, I think it is, and the terror below is the mortuary cult rule. This was a mortuary cult list. And that's why he's got the swarms, so he could do damage to them to buff his casting with the casket. So you get like +8 to cast, and then heal them back next turn, because that comes after the heal is after the casting. So anyway, so that was the kind of premise. But the way that Scott was playing it is that he could keep them off indefinitely until he brought them on with the ability. No, that's not how it works. You have to roll for that, because they're still reserves, and if you roll the 4 up, they have to come on. But because the abilities before that step, you can bring them on with the ability instead of bring them on from a table edge. So you don't get the choice. It's still a bit random. You can just mitigate that a little bit. That would have been quite big, because he used those units to take the middle towards the end. So I think that made a big difference. But it's fine. We knew how it was being played at the start. I did question it. We had a discussion. We thought we'll just carry on. It is in the FAQ, actually. When I went into my next game against guy I know very well, John Dale, I had a pre-game discussion, and he was under the impression it worked how I thought it worked. And then we just double checked it, and that is how it works. And, because I thought we're going into table 1 last game, I didn't want to, I wanted to make sure we were doing that correctly, because he was like, no, it doesn't work like that. And I was like, okay, well, how does it work then? I've got two different people with two different stories. I don't think it's any, it's this sort of thing. It's the first event for a lot of people, and it's not that intuitive how it works. So I get it. It's fine. Not having an issue with it. I think, Scott's a great guy, so he definitely wasn't trying to get an unfair advantage or anything like that. So this was really interesting, and this was kind of one of my takeaways from the event. So if you look at the previous picture, let me show you. I thought this really did raise something for me. So there's 5 Marauder Cav here, right? So he kills them in his go. I have to take a panic check on my Chaos Lord. I actually fail it. Now, the problem is the center of this unit and the center of my unit is this way, right? Actually, I think I misplayed. I think I put him here when he should have been further forward. But anyway, so he makes my Lord panic, but he's already moved. So let's look at the next picture. We were both taken a little bit surprised by this. Yeah, he should have been further forward. Yeah, he should have been. Because I took the models off. I should have checked it. So he should have actually been a bit further forward. That would have been big, actually. So he should have actually been like, because he goes through here, he should have actually been here. And then this center point. So he would have been like that. Yeah, that would have been better. So what happened was I panicked and bounced through. Now notice where his level 4 is. So he left the unit thinking, oh, I'm safe here because my dragon's here, right? Well, sorry, my dragon is actually here, further forward. And my Marauder Cav were there. So that flee path should have been there. So yeah, that should have been the center. But anyway, so he's thinking, right, I'm out of arc. I'm out of distance. He panics. He ends up here. Suddenly, I've got an 18-inch charge on him. I did fail it by an inch. So I should have made that charge, really. And then that would have been his Hierophant dead. And that's basically game over. So yeah, interesting. I didn't think that felt right, that I panicked and it gave me an advantage. That's the only thing for my gaming that doesn't feel quite right to me, because you fall back in good order, you rally immediately. And because they're immune to psychology, so they don't care. That had to take a panic past it. So I was like, okay, so I've got to take some other tests. But even if I failed it, where's it gonna run? Like here? It's probably beneficial. Like it's almost beneficial for me to them to panic, because the source, I could think about doing this, is putting the Marauder Cav like slightly behind my units within 6. So if you wipe them out with shooting or something and they die, okay, take panic. So I fail. I'm going towards you, rallying, change my face in, then it's my go. So I can now charge. So it kind of felt a bit wrong, but that's how it works. So what I learned is, if you're playing an army that does damage at range, is really think about, is the panic gonna do me a problem if I do that? So it's something to bear in mind. I'm not sure it will stay that way. It might do, it might not, but yeah, so that was interesting. Again, and like because again, it's the same thing. So center to center. So, my angle's like that. So my unit's here. Probably a bit less of that angle, to be honest, like that. So 90 degrees, overrun, the casket's in range. So go in, kill the swarms, overrun into the casket, get that. Go in with the chariot, kill the BSB. He ends up going in, getting charged. I think he fails the charge. He gets charged by the Ushabti. He kills the Ushabti. Then there's a lot of dicking about with this guy. And I kind of leave him. I'm a bit worried. I'm probably a little bit too worried about the Scorpion's heroic killing blow with 4 attacks against my dragon. I don't think. I mean, it's like I go first. He has to roll 6s to hit. He needs to roll a 6 to wound. I need to fail my ward save, but then it's 600 points. So it's a big deal. So you can see here later in the game where this has happened. I don't think he charged me. I think I charged him. But anyway, so the chariot went in there, was attacking his BSB, they're attacking the casket. And the good thing about Tomb Kings is once you're in combat, they kind of stay there until something comes in to help or they die. So normally when you play against like Tomb Kings, you want to put the fight in a way that is in your favor, and you just let it play out. And then as long as you've got stuff to protect follow-ups, you should be fine. And that's the same thing when you play with Tomb Kings. You need stuff that can come in and help if you get units that are stuck in protracted combat. Not so sold on archers. I just don't think they do anything. Yeah, so I don't know if I'll bother with archers in my lists. I think you're better off just with static blocks like normal skellies, and use your magic to get damage at range, or your your big things like your necrosphinxes or your catapults. I don't think you need archers. Don't small arms fire doesn't really do a lot. Panic's not really a big thing. If stuff runs, it doesn't run very far. It rallies automatically. It's kind of, I don't know, chip damage. It doesn't. So you can't really shoot characters because they're going to be protected by hiding near things, and yeah, it's line of sight as well. So it's okay as chip damage, but I'm not sure I would be running many shooting units. Some shooting units are worth it for sure. The throwing axes are okay, but again, it's 5 points. It's like fills out my core. But I don't think it's essential to have throwing axes on Marauder Horseman. I don't think it does a lot. Yeah, probably better off with a shield, to be honest. For 5 up against shooting. Anyway, so that was later in the game, and obviously the way it panned out at the end. So this is where I used my Marauder Cav. So if he charges me, I flee, bounce all the way through. Probably not going to catch me. I think he did roll high enough. I can't remember now. He's level 4 still running around. I killed everything else. I'm thinking I'm up here, so I just abandoned the middle. But the Scorpion should have come on a lot earlier, so he probably wouldn't have been there or been an issue for me. I should have been able to dealt with him a lot quicker. That's what it is. So, then I played against John Dale, the myth, the man himself. It was great to see AD, Mac, and John Dale from the old days there as well. So playing John table 1, he's got a much, or I'd say more refined Tomb King list. So he's got 2 units of skirmishy vanguardy dudes, 2 Scorps, 1 Necro, Casket, 4 Swarms, level 4. He's somewhere round here on a horse. And he's got the he's there, level 4 on a horse. He's got a BSB in there, 4 Ushabti with bows, a 2nd Necrosphinx. Because it's Mortuary Cult, you can take 1 as a special. So he's got 2 in a Casket. I really like that combo. 2 Scorpions, so yeah, it's good. He doesn't use the Entomb Beneath the Sands or It Came From Below or anything like that. I set my dragon up behind the hill thinking he's got this combo of minus lead. I should have set it up here, really, I think, and used the wood, and then just basically put him in front of everything and gone then. He's obviously using these to keep my army honest, keep me at bay. This will go through the Dragon Ogres like a hot knife through butter because they've got normal killing blow in their cavalry, so they can be killing blowed. I didn't really want this matchup, but I don't have much choice. He's got 2 of them. What can I do about it? So it was all a bit. I did have Steed of Shadows. I thought if I get that off, I can get up here. So John's done a lot better job protecting himself from the flanks. And I want to get into this, but this is a bit of a tar pit. He put the vortex down. I moved up. I was thinking, well, you can charge me. I couldn't take this. It's fine. They can't charge me. And I just figured I would try and bait him with this, or at least force the issue. So if he charges a chariot, he's here. I can run away. He gets countercharged by the Dragon Ogres. If he doesn't charge the chariot, I can charge him. He ended up flying past it. So it's kind of trying to do one or the other. It makes my guy -2 leadership, then it's the big bolt from this. A few little chip damage shots, things like that. So I did just put my dragon into the block. I ended up killing the champion, then I killed the guy. I did, and obviously he's quite close to the board edge, so he gets pushed back. He gets pushed off the table, they're all dead. Now, there was, this was kind of big, this flank, where it was a bit weird. Like he charged my Dragon Ogres and then lost, and then I charged him when I should have beat him, and then I lost, and then he ended up killing the Chariot and the Dragon Ogres. I ran these guys away. The Warriors went and cleared the casket. The Dragon killed this stuff. I should have. I had a point where I could have charged the Shabti. I should have gone and took those points. Towards the end of the game, you know, there's a lot of chaff getting in the way, stuff. It's just hard to get to anything. And I had one combat which I completely whiffed and I lost a musician, but if I'd won it, I would have pushed him off the board. So he got away with that. But also, this was kind of key. So he had his level 4 here, like out here, and he lost the combat, and he pushed him back. But obviously, if I pass the leadership test, I think it's later on, I haven't got pictures of it, I can reform and charge his Hierophant. I didn't pass my leadership test on a 9 because of the template was over here and it gives me -1 because I was leadership 10 at that point. So that was a bit unfortunate. That would have been game pretty much. Yeah, and I sort of did a quick bit of math in my head, and I had like a fear check to charge the cavalry with 5 Marauder Cav, and they should kill them on the charge. They do quite a lot of damage. Failed the fear check, stuff like that. And I thought, oh, you know, it's not too bad. And I killed the Scorpion here. I took him down. He ran. He backed up. I followed up. He then killed some stuff. The swarms, I think, killed. I don't remember, but basically, I lost this stuff, which I probably shouldn't have done, because I think he then was in a position to turn around and charge the Chariot because they died too easily. But then I probably should have lost them here. I don't know. It's all a bit up and down. But I think he passed a couple of regens. It meant he didn't crumble. Otherwise, he would have crumbled. He was left like 1 wound or 2 wounds. Then when I went in, he had to make a couple of regens. He made those saves, which is a bit unfortunate. You know, the block not getting pushed off the turn earlier, the redirect not working. Yeah, so it ended up being like, basically I won by 92 points, and you need to win by 100 for a win. So it was a draw. So we drew. I felt like I probably wasn't as knowledgeable as I needed to be to really maximize that. John's played a lot. I haven't played as much as him. And I think I had where I could have maybe got out of things with a little bit of like average dice. It didn't go my way. So yeah, it was a bit frustrating. I thought I was going to win this game, but I thought I was winning it. I thought I'd won, but I hadn't. It was a draw, technically. So we come to results, which at the actual event, they got the results incorrect because they didn't sort it on strength of schedule. And then there's a really weird thing where me and John are really close, and it's if he's above me, then my strength gets higher, and it's a bit weird. It's on best coast pairs. I'm not quite sure how it works out, but anywho, I come second. So I came second. I also got a painting nomination. I was hoping I'd get a painting trophy. Didn't quite manage the painting trophy, but yeah, I come second, got my silver hammer. And then I sort of was chatting to Dean and talking to him, and I said, I don't think they've sorted it right. I was looking at the results, and then I messaged Steve Wren, the organizer, and he amended the results and sent out the results. And Dean actually went up like 6 places. He went up to 14th, and thinks he got 3 wins. I got 4 wins and a draw. So he actually did really well. So he came like, top third. He was hoping to win like 1 or 2 games, so he did really well. So it was really cool that he did so well at the event. So it gave us motivation to carry on as well and do a few more. So that's that. And then yeah, so I got my nomination certificate and I got my trophy. So I'm pretty happy with that. Steve has since said, when he sent out the new results, he said that he's going to give all 3 of us a first place because we're technically tied. It's fine. I don't mind being second. It's all right. I mean, first place, I'll take it. If you can give me a gold hammer. So apparently he's giving me to that next week when I see him. That'd be cool. Yeah, so I'll go to the full results now so you can see how things panned out. John Dow in first with Tomb Kings. Again, his strength schedule was 3.3. So yeah, it was pretty good. Mine was 3.1, but yeah, so I came second. And then Matthew Caton with Warriors come third. Scott, who I played the game before, come fourth. And then, we've got Orcs in fifth. And then Dwarves, Empire, Dwarves. So Dwarves quite high up, and then Warriors. So, and then we go down into the other places. So Dean's 14th. The two Beast players I played are actually here, 19th and 20th. So my opponents are kind of all in the top sort of third, apart from one of them. So yeah, it was pretty cool. I had a really good time. I think the game flows really well. I really enjoyed the focus on the decision making and positioning on the table. It reminded me, it was like putting a old pair of comfortable slippers back on. The venue was, obviously it's Warhammer World, so it's great. The food was great for some reason this time, and yeah, it was just really nice atmosphere. And there was 56 people, so it was a big event really. And I had a really good time. I would say thoroughly recommend it. I found my list was really good. I don't think there's much I'd change. I did learn a few things. I would play slightly differently now, knowing how things pan out with the dragon and how Tomb Kings work and things like that. But I was happy with how it played out and how my games went. Don't think I made any like really silly decisions. The dragon's very good. He felt like he could die potentially from the Beastman Chariot magic missile thing, or at least take enough damage that he was in a threat range. There's a lot of Hurricane Blow around, or a Monster Slayer, I should say. And yeah, obviously the Tomb Kings, the Necrosphinxes are pretty scary. I did enjoy it, and I think I wouldn't change much in my 1500 point list, if at all. I mean, I have been playing around with some Chaos Knights, and then that kind of changes the dynamic of the level 2 wizard. And the Knights are pretty good. I think they're they're able to countercharge now with the FAQ, so that's pretty strong. But again, I do like the warrior block, so it still performed. I didn't miss not having a BSB. I think with the Mark of Undivided, you get to re-roll Panic, Fear anyway. You don't get to re-roll Break Test, but you don't need to take a lot of those anyway. I just find Exalted BSB or Aspiring BSB is very expensive. I don't seem you really have the points for it. At 2,000, might slot one in, but it's probably more likely the wizard gets booted up to a level 4, and on a mount or some description, core unit gets changed out to knights that he goes in. Then you've got a second buffable decent unit, but we'll see. Yeah, really interesting. So that's it for this show. That was my experience going to Warhammer World and playing my first Old World event. Hopefully you found the video useful. I did find my list pretty good. I played got some good combos. The Beastman Chariot double magic missile thing was good. I mean, I know I had seen this conversation previously. Is a magic missile a shooting attack? Can you only make one a turn? Can you use a magic missile and a breath weapon or a magic shooting attack? Yes, you can, because you can cast all the spells so that kind of overrides that rule. Got that checked. So that definitely works. So if you wanted to have multiple magic missiles on one model, you can do that. The other thing, I found the Mortuary Cult list looked pretty good. The doing damage to get your bonus to cast with the casket with your level 4, you're like +8 to cast. You're pretty much getting off anything you want to get off unless you double one. And Spirit Leech with the casket with the ability to put the vortex down, which gives you another -1, and it's like you take least stress, you fail it, you take loads of damage. It's pretty strong. I don't necessarily think the casket was played very well like in when I played against it. I think the positioning of it wasn't great because it obviously can't move. Then again, it's like there was a lot of line of sight blocking terrain. I mean, terrain in general just blocks line of sight, so I get it. But I mean, it's good. I think the mortuary cult list definitely seems strong. I still think I'd prefer to run a king in chariot and some fighty things. Love the necrosphinxes, love the scorpions, always have. I think necropolis knights are really good. Oh, the Scott had a unit of the riderless snakes. That was one of the things he had in the ground, which I didn't have a picture of, but they came on last thing, and they kind of that was kind of stuff that took the middle in that mission. But yeah, super pleased to get my podium, and looking forward to the one day next week. Hope you found the video interesting. I'll be back soon with some more content. I've got the Arcane Journal to cover. I'm going to go through all the factions as well. Going to do Toronto report next week after I go there. Got my list that I've written. Think I'm settled on it now. I tried out the Chaos Knights last night against Dean. They were pretty good. I actually quite like the fact they've got counter charge and the first charge, and weapons skill 5, strength 6 with lances against most things that are going to outcharge you. So if you're running infantry, you should get the charge anyway. And if you're against other cavalry or monsters, then you're going to get to counter charge, which just gives you all your bonuses. They're high initiative. They're pretty good. I think the knights are solid. I don't know if you need to go to the chosen route. And again, I played around with dark magic, and I took to try and get the frenzy and hatred, although I didn't actually roll that spell. I think part of me is leaning towards just picking and going for the spell that you want. So I think the 1250 list I'm toying taking level 3 with selecting spells, or a level 3 with an extra spell and taking Demology again, rather than and I can put the Marker's Inch on him then. But in my 1250 list, my dragon is 625 points, which is kind of crazy. But then I think if he doesn't die, that's half my army they're just not getting. So it's a very good point denial. And if I make everything else fast and avoidy, then they don't really get any points out of me. So that's the plan. Anyway, so we'll see how that pans out. It's only a one-dayer, so who knows what could happen. And yeah, 2,000 points for the summer, maybe Tomb Kings. We'll see. It's the seems apt to go out into the hot sun with Tomb Kings. And yeah, look out for some more Old World content. A note on AOS: I will be doing some AOS content. It's not like I'm not going to play it anymore. Been waiting for the new edition for a long time, to be honest. Because I've not really been a big fan of the 3rd edition. So I'm hoping I can start doing some content around AOS. I know there's been a lot of stuff hyped up on Warhammer community. You can go check that out. I figured I could cover it, but other people are doing it. I mean, with Old World, it was kind of a little bit unique that there wasn't a lot out there, and I was very excited about it, and anything I could get I was talking about. AOS, I'm probably going to wait until I've got the rules in hand, and then I can talk about it, and I can talk about the changes and do some content around that. I am interested to see how it pans out with my armies. One of the things I've not really commented too much on the channel about, and it's kind of the ecosystem of the game, the sort of the churn and the sort of the players that are mad dashing eBay to get the broken combos before they get fixed. I hope that goes away. I do have a lot of confidence in the studio after I've been dealt with them for so many years, and I think they will do a good job. And I'm sure, I haven't seen the new edition, but I'm sure they will do a good job of it. So I am excited to find my love of AOS again, because it's kind of taken a bit of a hit. In terms of Old World, absolutely love it. I think the teams did a sterling job. I really enjoyed the tournament, like more than I have for a long time. It made me miss what I used to love about Warhammer tournaments, and I think I've been coasting on the community in terms of going for the social, and the gaming's really not been at the forefront for a while for me. Probably since the ETC, actually, from when we did Worlds, I should call it. And I think the 3rd edition of AOS has really not been for me. I've played it, I've carried on with it, because I'm invested, I've got time and energy. It's okay, but I think Old World really highlighted that for me, like how much I really, really like the game. There's a lot less in terms of like mental load of tokens and remembering, and there's a lot more tactical decision making, which is just right up my street, and I really enjoyed it. So looking forward to playing more. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. I'll catch you all in the next one. See you all soon. Peace.